Sources telling NDTV Profit that India's imports of Russian oil remain the most pressing issue in trade talks with the United States. My colleague Rishabh joining me on the phone line. He has been tracking this story relentlessly. Rishabh, take us through all of the details. What are your sources telling you?
That's right, Sanjana. What we're picking up from sources is the fact that in the ongoing India-US trade talks, the number one talking point and the number one sticking point, the pressing issue remains India's imports of Russian oil and energy. That is something that the US has taken an issue with. And this is what is being negotiated at the negotiating table as we speak. Remember, India's chief negotiator and commerce minister, both of them are in the U.S. For this current round of negotiations. This is not the sixth formal round, but rather an informal or a bridge round that we're seeing happening in New York and Washington as we speak. What we're also picking up from sources is the fact that the US and India, both of them are looking at a comprehensive deal. This will be inclusive of goods and services, at least for the first tranche of the bilateral trade agreement. The ongoing negotiations are heading in a positive direction. Talks have been very productive so far. Both sides have termed that these talks have been progressing well. What we're also seeing is that the H1B visas issue and the trade talks, those will not be mixed. Those continue to remain separate talking points and will be negotiated and talked upon separately. So as to say, the H1B visa issue will not be a part of India's bilateral trade agreement. What we're also picking up is that the US is in favor of certain Indian investments coming in into the of setting up manufacturing, in terms of investing in the country. The US is very much in favor of having a lot of more Indian investments flow into the country. That is what we've picked up from our sources so far. There's no specific date to when the Indian team is expected to return from the US. So what we're hearing is that the end of this week, so over the weekend perhaps, or tomorrow, is when you'll have the Indian delegation also come back. That's the latest on the India-US trade talks, Sanjana.
Could you also shed light for our context and for our viewers on India's position so far regarding its continued purchases of discounted Russian crude amid the US and the relentless calls for reduction? How is India going to now balance this energy security with trade diplomacy?
Right. So you had India's commerce minister in an event in New York a few hours back, not a few hours, a day back, saying that India is eyeing increased trade, energy trade with the US. So that was a very clear indication of where these talks are going. Remember, this will be a balancing act that India will have to play in terms of favoring what India's energy needs are, and also maintaining this bilateral trade sort of agreement and the aim of having some sort of a relationship with the US as well. So those two things need to be balanced now. You already have India's top ministers going out and saying that it is India's energy needs that will be the primary cause of will be the primary aim of these talks, will be to secure India's energy needs. But at the other hand, you have a lot of pressure coming in from the US and from President Trump in terms to stop all sorts of purchases of Russian oil. So we're seeing a balancing act that will play out. A lot to be seen in terms of what the exact contours of India's negotiations will be when it comes to energy and oil specifically.
Right, Rishabh, thanks so much for that update, and we'll of course continue tracking the key pain points and the flashpoints in the trade negotiations. Remember, as they continue, this is an extremely significant issue, but as Rishabh rightly said, the issue of India buying Russian crude continues to remain a major flashpoint between India and the United States. It remains to be seen how both countries are going to continue to navigate that. But on the front of it and on the face of it, we have heard from both representatives. Both are saying that the talks are moving in a positive manner.